The Easter Bunny is already gone, but we are back for another episode of iGaming Daily. I am Fernando Not, Senior Business Journalist for SBC Notícias and your host for today's episode where we will talk about Brazil with some major developments happening over the last few days. And for that, I am joined today by the very unique, special genius mind as Ricardo Assis, editor of SBC Notícias Brasil. Ricardo, how are you today?
Hey, Fer, thanks for the introduction, and I'm happy to talk about this, even though it's not a very happy topic to be talking about.
Yeah, we're creating the tension, so the listeners are like really hooked with this and thinking, what are they going to talk about? I'm sure everyone is like on the edge of their chairs, but they are sure soon going to listen some serious news from Brazil, especially the ones that will come out of Ana Maria Menezes' mouth. Ana, business journalist for SBC Notícias Brasil. How are you today?
Hello, Fer. So topics today are not exactly going to be easy. And, specific for me, one of them is not the easiest to talk about, especially taking into consideration how much of a fan, let's just say that, how much of a fan I am of this person. Okay, let's just stop there. We're not going to go any further, okay?
Yeah, not going any further before thanking Optimove, the number one CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market and sponsor of iGaming Daily. So big shout out to Optimove. But now, Ana was saying she's a very big fan of this person. So, Ana, I just want you to say the name of this person.
Okay. The name is Bruno Henrique. It hurts me just saying.
So, for those of you that got a bit lost in the Portuguese pronunciation, that's Bruno Henrique for us. So, or Bruce Henry in English. But Brazil is on the front page since the newly regulated market came into full force. But there are still some issues, and Bruno Henrique has surely found out over the last few days as these issues need a lot of work, need a lot of attention. So, Ricardo, why don't you tell us what the story is for those that haven't already read it on SBC Notícias Brasil?
Yeah, it's a complicated story, and it's something that has been going on repeatedly here in Brazil. It's something that has happened with a lot other players as well. But Bruno Henrique has been indicted by the federal police for fraud in sport competition because they say that they are investigating the match against between Flamengo and Santos in November of 2023, and in that match, Bruno Henrique got a yellow card and then a red one. And according to the police, it was something that he has told his brother and other people of his family that he would get this yellow card so people could bet on it. And now the police has released some images of conversations between him and his brother. So the conversation is pretty straightforward. And he writes that he's going to receive a yellow card in that particular match. So I don't know how he can get away with this because it's something that it's pretty straightforward. Like I said before, there's nothing to be discussed on that. This is something that we'll have to see how they're going to handle it. But I expect that he gets a really big punishment in the criminal sphere, also in the sportive sphere as well, because he's being indicted firstly in the criminal one, and then STJD, that is the sports sphere here in Brazil, is going to judge the case again because they have archived the case before, but they didn't have all the informations. They have archived because they said that the sum of the bettings was really low, and it was not implying that he that would make sense for him to do that, and he would not. It was a sum that was like 0.5% of the salary that Bruno Henrique received. So they archived on based on that. But now with all this information, I believe they are going to reopen the case, and we might see a ban on him. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent ban or for an amount of time, because here in Brazil we had like the case with Aleph Manga that did something similar and only got 1 year of banning, of suspension. So I don't know how it's going to be handled.
Yeah, speaking of other cases, this actually reminded me a lot of the story about Lucas Paquetá, because he also, or potentially, obviously, or allegedly, he allegedly did some stuff on the pitch to help family members that were betting, right?
It was really similar, and I think it's like pretty identical cases, if I'm being honest, because it's to help his brother the same way that Bruno Henrique did to help his brother. And it's more of a case like insider information. I think Bruno Henrique is a case of insider information, and Paquetá is a little bit different because it involves more games, but it's insider information as well. Because according to the investigators, they are not trying to profit from themselves. They're trying to make a profit for the family, so it's a little bit different. But the cases are really similar in a sense that the bets on the games really spiked on this particular event, and this was what triggered the alerts from Sport Radar and the International Betting Integrity Association that reported on this both cases. And also the bets were done by new accounts, and these accounts were created in the place that where both of this persons has lived his entire lives. So in the case of Bruno Henrique, it was from Belo Horizonte, and in the case of Paquetá, was from the island of Paquetá, where he's born and where he's got the name. So it's pretty similar, and it's something that shows that the clubs has a big job to do in instruction the players in the cases of insider informations and what is considered manipulation and what's not considered manipulation. And this is something that I've talked about with Felipe Marchetti from Sport Radar. We did a very big piece, an interview regarding this topic, and coincidentally it went live on the same date that the Bruno Henrique story has popped up. So yeah,
that's good timing for the interview. But make sure you read that one on SBC Notícias Brasil. Make sure you subscribe to SBC Notícias Brasil's newsletter, because you will read this firsthand. You will read this right away as they are published. So make sure you are subscribed. And I think there are two main takeaways from this. That first, of course, we need to wait for the investigation to determine whether they are actually guilty or not, or all these are accusations so far. So before the investigation is closed and there's a ruling against them or not, we will see whether, #wait and see, we will see if they are actually guilty of this. And the second takeaway I'm making out of this is that I didn't know that Paquetá was not his name. I think that's a very enlightening comment from you, Ricardo. So I'm pretty sure that most of our listeners out there, probably Brazilians, do already know, but I'm sure I'm not the only one that's just finding out that. But another question that I have, and it's a bit of a superficial maybe question, but Ana, you are a Flamenguista. You are a torcedora do Flamengo. A Flamengo fan. So, how big is it for Flamengo if they lose Bruno Henrique to a sanction, to a suspension?
Okay. In all fairness, this whole topic regarding Bruno Henrique, and not only that, regarding specific Paquetá, because Paquetá was also a player for us. Of course, the accusations are not of him when he was playing for us, but he's also a big name for us. We've had some other, how can I say, saucy topics. I'm gonna describe it this way. With Gabigol as well. He was one of our biggest players, and we also faced some suspensions in that way. We have faced some serious issues in the past with some players. And I mean, we were still able to keep going. So we have a very strong elenco. How can I say elenco in English? Please, Fed, if you're able.
Squad,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, of course it's gonna be bad. I am a big fan of Bruno Henrique, despite the fact that sometimes I get, a bit irritated with some stuff, like some red cards that sometimes happen without, it happens. Just like with any other players, it happens. My main takeaway is we're going to be fine. But Flamengo did create a sort of code of conduct for the players. So let's just hope that this also makes them more conscious about the effects of the decisions they make, of sports manipulations and all of that, because this affects the team. This affects their lives, because it's their profession. It's their professional lives. So there's a lot to take away from all of that. It could also affect their families. So it's not only them that are being investigated, also their families. In the case of Paquetá, for example, his uncle. So yeah, we really need to take away a lot of different learnings from that.
Just a quick comment, sorry. But last week we had a game between Flamengo and Juventude.
We won nice.
And yeah, Flamengo won 6-0, but I think one thing that's got a little bit of attention that was that Bruno Henrique was not put on hold, and he played the game. He played by full, and Flamengo is standing by the player. They are saying about the presumption of innocence, but I think it's a little bit complicated because this is something that can damage the image of the club. I don't know if this is the best move from Flamengo. I understand that he has an importance from a technical standpoint, but it's complicated to put to the player to. I don't know how is his mind on the sense as well, because a lot of attention is on him as well, so it's just a point. I don't know how if this is the best way that the club should handle this case. But coincidentally, Juventude also has a player that is being investigated, that is Enio, and he also played the game. He was away for only one game, and he is now back in the squad. So clubs are backing up their players and putting them to play throughout all the period of investigation, and only then they see how to handle. So this is the way that people are handling this stuff here in Brazil.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a time for education. I think players are going to need a lot of support from the clubs and, of course, from the industry as well. I think that's something actually Felipe Marchetti mentioned on the interview, something about education and players actually knowing or not whether they are doing something wrong. But you should just go ahead and read that because it's a great interview that Ricardo posted last week. But on a different note, another investigation has made its way to SBC Notícias Brasil. But this one is about welfare money, Ana.
Yes, so Brazil's federal police are now looking into possible fraud scheme. It's involving the legal use of social welfare recipient CPF. So how can we put into a more known name, as in a social security number? And they are investigating the use of the social security number in illegal and money laundering use on social betting platforms. And according to Wellington Dias, he's the country's Minister of Social Development, and this issue specifically came to light after the central bank published a study last year saying that more than 3 billion reais were transferred via Pix to betting sites by people who were receiving money from Bolsa Família. And it's Brazil's main social assistance program for people who come from low income. So this number was pretty high, and it really got the attention from the industry because 3 billion reais, it's a lot of money. It's around $500 million. It's a lot of money. And this caught the attention of the government. And Dias, the minister, he said that the numbers didn't match the government's modern data. So he requested to the federal police some investigation regarding that. And he also explained that some people who had no idea of their personal infos being shared like that, and they were very surprised when they saw the numbers. They were like, oh, I wish I had that kind of money to spend like that. So if they didn't even know that their accounts were being used like that, then were they really using it? And he already said that they already found some evidence. I mean, we're going to have to #wait and see the kind of evidence they found, of course. But he already confirmed that the federal police found some evidence that the CPFs, the social security numbers, are being used in an illegal way. So these are big news for us. We're going to have to wait because a lot of attention has been put into that, and a lot of prejudice kind of rose against people who use the Bolsa Família. So, you come from low income and you use this amount of money to bet. How are you using your money? So this was actually a pretty big topic for us. And this puts a whole different light into the subject. And so where is this money coming from? Who's doing that? Why? And a whole bunch of questions are arising after this topic. And we're just going to have to hashtag wait and see. And we're also covering all about that in SBC Notícias Brasil. And you can just subscribe to our newsletter and check our website. We're always going to be talking about that. So you don't have to hashtag wait and see all the time because we're going to be covering that for you.
Yeah, just see. No, don't wait. Subscribe
exactly.
and see. Subscribe and read. Hashtag subscribe and read. But for now, we will have to make a very quick commercial break. So you all guys take a breath, grab a cup of water or whatever you want to do. Thank you very much, Ricardo. We're going to bid you farewell for now. But we will be right back with some news about Argentina after this very short break.
We are here after the commercial break to talk a little bit more about Argentina. And we're here with Fernando, our big senior journalist, and also Damian Martinez, another great journalist here at SBC Notícias. And it's been actually a very busy April so far for Argentinian gaming, right? And especially for land-based casinos. So let's start right now with what happened in Buenos Aires, okay? So where the government basically announced a long-awaited tender, right, Fit?
Yes, it's the talk is always around iGaming, but this past few days, I got a weird accent there, but the Provincial Institute of Lottery and Casinos actually announced a long-awaited tender for 7 casinos in the province. This is the province. Remember that Argentina has the city of Buenos Aires, which is the capital, and the province of Buenos Aires, which is a larger territory, but and both have different regulators, right? So the IPLC, which is the Provincial Institute of Lottery and Casinos, is the regulator of the province of Buenos Aires and announced this tender for 7 casinos. And it's looking for a partner to actually develop and modernize the facilities of these casinos. Actually, it's more involved to the slot machines. That's like the main focus of the tender. The slot machines that are involved that are installed in the casinos and who controls them. So the casinos are Tandil, Miramar, Mar de Ajó, Sierra de la Ventana, and 2 annexes in Mar del Plata, which are the Hermitage Hotel and the Sasso Hotel. So these are all casinos in very touristic cities of the province of Buenos Aires, like people in the city and pretty much all around the country do used to spend their summer holidays in these cities. So it's very important to have like a strong touristic infrastructure in those cities. So that's why this tender is important. And that's mainly for these casinos. But if you were paying attention, I didn't mention one city. I did say there were seven casinos involved and only mentioned 6 because I think one of the most important is the one for the Casino de Necochea, the Necochea Casino, which is another big city for tourism in Buenos Aires, and that has been also included in this tender.
Fair, you left maybe not the best, but the most suspicious in a way for last. So tell us, why is it that important?
Well, I've been in the industry since 2017. And I think ever since I've been in the industry and probably before, the Necochea Casino has been on the news like every year, nearly every month. Like they need to revamp the casino. They need to sell the casino. They want to announce another tender. The casino caught fire at one point, like literally was involved in a fire. So it has been through a lot. It's a very big construction right by the beach in Necochea. I was actually in Necochea this summer and I passed by the casino and it's in a very bad state. So it is very important for that to recover that massive building, that massive opportunity that Necochea has to create jobs, to create money, to attract more tourism for the city. So This tender in particular, besides giving the opportunity to a private company to control the slot machines in the Necochea casino, also sets the ground for Necochea to work on another tender, and that one is to sell the actual building in the casino and actually have that whole casino and the development developed better, as the city is needing for so long, or has been needing for so long. So it is very important for those two reasons. Like, not only do they give the slot machines to a private company, but they also allow the city to work towards the recovery of the casino.
Okay, great reasonings right there. And we also saw some major developments in Cordoba, right? Some of the biggest provinces in Argentina. So, Dami, do you want to talk maybe a little bit more about that?
Yes, Ana, thank you. Well, Lottery of Cordoba, the entity that regulates gaming in the province. As you know, Argentina has 24 jurisdictions, and each one of them has a different regulating body. The Lottery of Cordoba has completed the tender process for the casinos in the territory. From now on, 4 operators will share the land-based gaming business in the area. They are CET, Casino Victoria, Bolt, and Lottery of Cordoba will also be one of them. This process reshapes the gaming industry in Cordoba because until now there was only one operator working in the area. Also, this move promises to revive some regional economies through investments, because these companies will be required to make significant money inputs into the economy, including a fee of up to approximately $2 million. This will be very important for small jurisdictions, which are where these casinos are based.
Okay, fair. But if we can just move on for a little and just leave the land base for a second. I know that some lawmakers are not making things easy for you in Argentina, especially in Cordoba, for the iGaming in the province, right?
Yes. The UCR, one of the political parties that integrates the Cordoba Chamber of Deputies, is proposing an initiative against online gambling. The idea is to limit the operation of betting platforms only to nighttime hours. Therefore, authorized casinos in the province are expected to be able to operate only between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m., which is kind of ridiculous, but let's see what happens. But this is not the first time they attempt something against the sector. Last September, the same political party had already attempted to ban online gambling and sport betting in the area. But luckily, this initiative was not approved by the chamber.
Yeah, actually, Cordoba has a very unique restriction in the capital city of the province that has the same name, Cordoba, the city of Cordoba. And you can't actually have a land-based operation within 30 kilometers from the capital center, like from the city center, 30 kilometers all around, you can't have a land-based casino. So when they passed iGaming regulation, they wanted in the city to include a restriction for the city of Cordoba as well. So because the city wants like to be gaming free, let's say, but since the gaming regulation is a faculty of the province, like the Lotería de Córdoba, the provincial regulator is the one that has to enforce the rules for the segment. They couldn't actually have the same restriction for iGaming. So, I think it's a very unique model that has the gaming industry away from the city center, but they haven't been able to replicate that on iGaming. But the story Dami was mentioning was a provincial thing. So we'll surely have more news about that in the future on SBC Noticias.
We're just gonna have to #wait and see, as always. And you can just subscribe to SBC Noticias newsletter. And you can also check the website, SBC Noticias, and just check all about the Latin America landscape scenario on iGaming and also landscape. Thank you again, Optimove, for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you, Anaya McDonald, for being the greatest producer of all time. Thank you, Fernando, and also Damian for participating. And we'll see you again next time.